I was born there and
Sorry about that. That was me. Go ahead. Keep going. Sorry.
okay. Okay. Yeah, I was born in Haiti and moved to New York when I was a teenager, over 40 years now. And well, almost 40 years. Yeah. So I since I was a child, I've always have a leaning towards spirituality and religious studies and whatnot. I went to, I tried to be a preacher at one time, went to theological seminaries. And well, you know what happened in my senior year? Well, they waited until I was about to graduate. I guess they figured guys like me might quit if they started these courses on the sophomore years or the freshman years. But what happened is I was being introduced to church financing and how to make money. And I'm realizing, listen, this is a business. And not that there's something wrong with it, but I realized I can make a lot more money, selling insurance, selling real estate, than trying to convince people about an idea that is, even though it's innate, but it's not a very good way to make a living. So I quit. And of course, when I was 35, that's when we met. I started studying the Kabbalah. And I figured in two classes alone, I learned so much that I learned in the past 3 years of theological studies. And I said, okay, this is, that's it. Why do I have to pay somebody to go back to school and earn a diploma and whatnot? So, and by the way, earning a diploma was never my intention. Every time I start going to some kind of training, after a few months, I already figure it out and I keep moving because the knowledge is what I was more after. But anyway, yeah, well, I mean, I got married, things didn't work out, been in my own for the past 10 years now. And I'm single. So I don't know if I can contribute much to relationships, talk. But I guess my experience would probably help people who are willing to listen what to do and what not to do, where the pitfalls are, because I've seen them all through experience. So yeah, and then I started in the past 4 years studying the yoga, Kriya Yoga, Kundalini Yoga, Pranayama, breathing exercises, and then I see the tremendous transformation that happened in the yogic culture. To talk about more of the three aspects of what makes a human being: the body, the thought, and the emotion. And all these three elements being worked together create what they call the Merkaba, even in the Kabbalistic text. So I'm like, I find something here. So here I am. Ever since then, I'm like a dog with his tail on fire, trying to share this wisdom that I have learned in the past 22 years with people. And that's how we found each other again through my Facebook Lives. And I'm grateful for you to invite me today. I appreciate it.
Nice. Well, okay. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for sharing that. I want to just quickly repeat what I said initially because I forgot to hit the record button. So I just want to introduce us again really quick. Your part I recorded, but the initial part I did not. So I just want to, say.
Thank you for taking me off the hook. I talk about that. That would have been an Achillean task for me to repeat.
Right?
That's great.
Yes.
Sure.
So, okay. So one more time, guys, we're doing this live about soulmates or cellmates. And we're so excited to be here together. We're a longtime friends, and we'll continue to talk about that as we go. My name is Ala Esther Levy. I go by Esther usually, unless someone's mad at me, and then there's all kinds of other words that could come up. But Anyway, I'm an emotional intelligence specialist and a interfaith reverend, and my passion and my love is bringing awareness about emotional intelligence and emotional quotient, which I said is like the cousin of IQ. It's our EQ, and EQ is what we need to develop so that we can be very, very successful in life, because it's not just about how smart we are, it's how we are able to manage and recognize and manage our level of crazy, and how that affects our interaction in the world with ourselves, but also with each other. And so that's what inspired me to do this talk today. I saw Jacques and doing his lives, and he's doing amazing things. And so that's lots and lots of EQ tools that he's doing with art and yoga and spirituality. And so I reached out to him, and we hadn't seen each other forever. And so I was like, you know what, let's do this thing together. And that's how we got here. So let's go into it now. And grab your coffee mugs or your tea. I got my tea right here. Make yourselves comfortable. I got my sweater on. It's nice and cozy. And Jack, you look pretty comfy too. So let's get into it. We have a couple really interesting questions, but we're gonna just go really organic. And for those people, I'm kind of periodically checking the Facebook to see what's happening. But what we'd like to do is, if you have questions or comments as we're doing our talk, put it into the chat or into the comment section. And Tom, our lovely assistant, is going to read them out to me when I ask for them, okay? So we're gonna make this as interactive as we possibly can. All right, so here we go. So the first question, Jack, is, what is the difference, in your opinion, because this is all opinion-based, right? What is the difference, do you think, is between a soulmate and a cellmate?
Well, first of all, let me say I applaud you for the your, what would I say, your talk, your approach, and you say how to manage your level of craziness. I think that says a lot. I believe that every one of us, especially in the spiritual community, people think craziness does not exist. That's what we have to fight out of. Oh, we don't want to be crazy, but that's an already crazy thought to think that you can escape being crazy once in a while. As a matter of fact, when you start bringing these characters that are contrary to popular, popular way of living, you would be labeled crazy anyway. So how do you manage that? And I think that's the proposition where if you do not know how to manage it, then you're gonna have a stalemate instead of a soulmate. Because the moment that you start managing your, which is our insecurity. I mean, human beings are we are the only beings, we are the only animals, if we like. People don't want to admit it, but we just have more consciousness than the rest of them. We're on the pile of the heap. But the thing is, that little brain of ours sometimes can be a great tool, or it can enslave us. We're the only animals in the animal kingdom, even though we're the king of the jungle. We're on top of the heap. Yeah. That can be alone and be miserable. So I think if we start managing this, then every relationship is a soulmate. In my opinion, a person that comes into your life and keeps the living daylight out of you, if you are at that level of managing your craziness, oh, wow, there's a level of craziness I didn't know that I yet to master. That's a soulmate. But if that person who gets you, you don't know what to do with him or her, then that's a cellmate. So pretty much we are in our own prison. Some people come into our lives, they can either be cellmate or soulmate. The moment you recognize that, and then at that moment, then everybody is your soulmate. And that's my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, you know what? Exactly. I mean, I think that it's very powerful what you're saying. And I think that, what I've learned from, 48 years of life, right? And being married twice, my first husband, and, and what I've learned in these experiences is that it is our own perceptions. It is our own way of being that creates the cell or the soul. And so this is where we get into the the spirituality of this whole thing. And a lot of people may say, well, yeah, but, my husband is a jerk, or my wife is, a BICTH, what are you saying, that it's always my fault? That's not really what I'm saying. And I don't think that's what you're saying. I think what we're saying here is that when you're really working on your level of crazy, when you're really practicing the laws of spirituality, and we understand that and let's get into it, right? Because it's just these questions are gonna flow into one another, is that when we really understand what we're doing here, which is we are spiritual beings on a human journey, right? So I don't want to put words in your mouth. So if I say something that doesn't match, you stop me. But
you're there.
so, spiritual beings on a human journey. And so what happens is that when we know this, and we understand that we are here to learn and to grow and to develop our skills on so many different levels. And it doesn't mean that you have to stay with, let's say, this particular person. That's another thing that I think people get confused about is, but it's just not working. I'm doing everything I can. I'm changing, I'm working, I'm recognizing and managing my crazy, but it's just not working. You know what? It's okay to walk away. It's okay to have a mutual, harmonious separation, right?
Definitely.
So, no one said that we have to be stuck for life. And no one said that you have to punish yourself now. Oh, I made this decision and now I'm stuck here and now I'm in prison, cellmate, and now I have no choice. No, we all have choices. We all have free will. And truthfully speaking, some relationships might be better off as friendships. And that's what happened to me, is as I continued to grow and develop and get my crazy under control, I realized that this particular marriage was not the right fit for me. So I moved on to the next level of where I was headed. And at that point, waited several years and then got involved in another relationship. And then again, realized, okay, again, I'm still learning, I'm still developing. Something, a very interesting tool that I use, Jacques, I don't know if you use this in relationship, is what I've learned is that based on the person that I'm with at the moment, I found as a reflection for me is who I am at that moment, like my level of consciousness. So the relationships where I was were a reflection of where I was in my consciousness, in my growth, in my evolution. And as I grew to the next relationship, I would look at the person in front of me and I would say, okay, is this my landing? Is this where I want to stop? Is this my destination? And until I got to where I am today, with my beloved Tom, I was still growing. I was still developing. And now I'm still developing, because it's not like I mastered, but now I have a partner who's also working on himself. And so together we're constantly evolving. So do you find that that's something that you have used at all, or is this a new concept for you?
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, that's what I said in a way, because every relationship that propels you to the next level, that doesn't mean a person comes into your life has to stay. Because eventually, one of us is going to leave. One of us is going to leave. Whether it's by divorce.
Are you talking about death or in general?
Eventually, I'm saying, the person may change their mind. They have
okay.
You have free will. They also have free will. We hope that it's not the case, but death will be the ultimate destination. Let's be honest.
Yes.
I think when you start working on yourself, that's when your true soulmate, and some people put soulmate and then twin flames in a whole different category. I'm not going to go there because I'm not an expert in such lofty ideas. But I do think any person that comes into your life help you, propel you to a level of consciousness. That's my opinion. When they leave, they taught us a lesson that we had yet to master, and now we thank them for it. Once again, you see, all these are emotion-based, and emotion is chemical. This is serotonin, right? Yeah, serotonin is part in the brain that makes us feel good, that enhance, the attraction. Because I have soulmate relationships. I have soulmate relationship with my dog. I have soulmate relationship with my next door neighbor. I have soulmate relationships with, you name it. But the thing is, there's a sense of the chemical that's more enhanced because somebody stirred that chemical reaction within ourselves to a point where we want to bring them closer to us, what they call intimacy. And I think this is where especially people that are in the spiritual path, they always think of, even not just spiritual path, but it's crept into the spiritual community. Unless if it's not intimacy, then it's not a relationship. Like you and I are having a relationship.
Right. Absolutely.
Based on what we share, ideas that have propelled me into a level, and hopefully I do the same. My dog, when wag his tail, that's the level of relationship. But I do not sleep with my dog. I do not sleep with my friends. They're not, I don't kiss them, well, some people do, but that's a different story.
That's a different talk.
That's a different talk. But we want that part of that chemistry in us. We want somebody even closer. When my daughter comes in to visit, I put her on my lap. Even though she's 20, I put her in my lap, I hug her. But that's the limit. That's the difference between she would be versus my next door neighbor who comes and help me out with the yard work. I give him a hug, fist bump. That's a different level of relationship.
Right.
And of course, my wife, and if I had one, and of course I had one before, where we embrace it a lot more intimately, that's another level of relationship. But they're all relationships.
Yeah.
It's how strong the chemical reaction in us.
Exactly.
That's pretty much, but they all soulmate relationships in my opinion.
So I want to dive into manipulation. And before we do that, let's check in with our Facebook monitor here. Do we have any comments so far? Any questions?
No, I just see no comments, no questions. The comment that I sent a little heart. I think you guys are doing a great job.
Okay, great. Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
So he says we're doing a great job. Okay, very good. So
Awesome.
if anybody has any questions or comments, guys, send them through the comments, and we'll be happy to, engage with you a little bit.
Something I realized with Facebook viewers, they're not like the same as YouTube. YouTubers, they into it. Facebook are more laid back.
Lay
Let me
back.
look, let me watch. Yeah, let me watch. I don't have any comments.
Okay, cool.
unless they thumbs up in you or say hi, good afternoon, good evening. They don't like to talk that much.
Okay.
But I understand.
Okay, cool.
Hopefully we get some.
Yeah, no problem. Then it's just more time for us to chat. No problem. So let's talk about manipulation, because this is where, cellmate or soulmate is also determined. And I would say that a lot of people, and this is when we talk about relationship, we could talk about really any kind of relationship. This conversation is more about romance and love, but relationships are relationships, right? And the truth is that, relationships are the most important lesson that we come here to learn, right, Jacques?
I think so. I think so.
Yeah. So relationships in general can get so complex. And when you have this essence of, manipulation, when a person is coming from manipulation, because everything's energy, right? We're, like we said, we're spiritual beings on this human journey, and everything is energy. We know this. So if everything's energy, and let's say we're in relationship with whoever, right? It could be a father, daughter, mother, son, love, romance, whatever, your dog, whatever kind of relationships. And the energy is manipulation. So that is a very, very dangerous place to be, right? And I'm talking to the people that either manipulate or people that are being manipulated. And so, what are your thoughts on that? Because I feel that it's a very dangerous game to play. And so that's where I say that, I had a friend who had a situation recently, and it has to do with an ex-husband, and it's a very challenging situation. And she asked if she could handle it in a different kind of way. Like maybe she can say this instead of this, like I'm going to say this word instead of this word. And I said, listen, be careful that you're not manipulating, because manipulation is never going to get you anywhere, right? We have to learn that we just have to be straight up. We have to be smart about how we say what we say, meaning we want to be honest, we want to be direct, but we don't have to be mean, and we don't have to be disrespectful, right? We can be respectful, but we do have to be direct. We don't want to do manipulation, because manipulation, in karmic terms, from what I understand and what I've experienced, is that two people suffer: the person manipulating and the person being manipulated energetically. So it's a big karma for both people. So we don't want to go there. What do you think?
Yes, and I agree. I think it's also a lack of self knowledge, because again, if we understand that these chemicals are within us, someone may trigger it where it becomes a sweetness. It becomes, like I said, any kind of relationship, especially a person that we share, in a more intimate relationship with. But we have to understand one thing. I think in the yogic tradition, what I love about it is that even even a family setting it's a boundary. We creating boundaries. Of course, in a bigger scale, our nationality or race or religion is a bigger boundary.
Yeah.
And we tend to protect that. But that's also, it's not bad. It's not bad, but it also a survivalship. We're in the realm of survival.
Yeah.
And that's why total liberation, and I understand the concept of total liberation because I'll be honest with you, I hate to talk about it as if I'm some kind of holier than thou attitude, but I do not feel lacking just because I do not have a girlfriend. I don't feel it. There are situations where, I tried it. It's not that I didn't try. It's just that it becomes more of a burden. That depends where you are. I mean, if I want to beat Usain Bolt, then carrying somebody on my neck is not going to be a very good idea. I want to climb Mount Everest. That's not going to be a good idea. Can that person hold his own or her own? And that's the point. Otherwise, you're manipulating me from achieving my highest potential. You're not there to help me. Like I would be there to help you because by us coming together, it's not from a place of lacking. It's that I have so much energy of love within me that I want to share it with you because a love shared is a double love. A burden shared is half a burden. There's some of that aspect also. But if I come with my burden and say, okay, help me out with this, then that's manipulation. It's not going to help anybody. Because eventually you're going to end up with your own money, with your own burden, no matter what. We came here by ourselves. Even if we're twins, we came here by ourselves. We had to breathe on our own. We had to live life on our own terms. But I think it's a disservice to ourselves, to your own person, to manipulate someone else into whatever. But let's be honest, relationship, in my opinion, let's say, for instance, there are times that I wish that I had somebody in my life, but it's usually, it's still a boundary. If I had somebody, maybe, I would enjoy a nice relationship. I would not be eating by myself, not because I'm lonely. I'm human. I feel it sometimes from time to time. But when I'm painting, when I'm doing my thing, I'm playing my music, I'm glad I don't have somebody around. What are you doing? It's been 2 hours. Just sitting, you know what I'm saying? So it's balancing. It's a balance. It's a balance. If that person can, because true love, you had the adage, true love, you let the person be free. That's when, if they love you, they would come back and yada, yada, yada. And I think at that moment where you want to share love rather than get something out of it, I think that person should feel lucky to have you.
So what about, yeah, so I love what you're saying. So what about, I feel like I'm a little blurry, but so what about, like you said so many great things, and I just want to kind of talk about this one piece. What about friends with benefits? Because I'm a firm believer, like before I found Tom, I dated and I was getting to know a lot of different people, and I found it a great exercise to learn how to date and how to make friends and how to, go through that whole journey. And it was a very important time for me because it really developed very important muscles. So, I think friends with benefits, there's something to it if you're careful and if you do it correctly. What do you think about that?
Well, first of all, anything that has to come with benefits means that you can lose it anytime.
You're more spiritual than me, Jacques.
No, I'm not. I'm not being. That's not a spiritual, ping pong match at all. That's not. but I do think, not, of course, there are, we're living in the world. There are things that need to be addressed, finances, certain things, and of course they are. But again, we have to understand relationships. Period. It comes in a realm of survival. It is. Let's be honest with each other. Let's be honest with all of the audience. It's not that it's bad. We need to survive in the world, but a survivorship is the only. If it's the only motivation, then I'm not here to predict, but it's going to be very difficult to have a genuine, loving relationship because you have two people that are, again, manipulating or prying in each other or sucking each other energy because of survivorship. There has to be a time when we have to survive. We were hunter gatherers. We kill whatever the hell we can find in the bushes, and then we come home. It may be rats, maybe raccoons, maybe a cow. Who knows? Whatever we can find. But now we become a little bit more sophisticated because we do not have to survive at that level anymore. I think if we understand that, then there will be more anchored in genuine emotion. Sweetness of emotion would be more. And of course, I mean, two people not being able to pay the rent or the mortgage can create a lot of chaos.
Yeah.
And I'm the type of person I would believe that if you can't take care of yourself on your own, avoid a relationship. In my opinion, I would not want to be in a relationship where I feel that the woman will have to pay my way. I'm not gonna have it. It's not good for my self-esteem. I don't think no man should do that.
Yeah. I think that's what, so because there's another point that I want to make, and I'm gonna circle back to it about what I found does make the ultimate soulmate relationship, and what I found truly makes the ideal relationship. And I want to go back to that in a minute. But I do want to address what we're talking about here, which is, the friends with benefits or these temporary relationships. I love what you're saying.
Stay on that. I'm still listening to. Let me take a peek at the window and see what this dog is talking about.
Yes, no problem.
I can hear you.
No problem. What I want to say about the friends with benefits is I find that if two people are, let's say, okay, being in a committed relationship can sometimes be, not sometimes, always be complicated on many different levels. And so if you're not fully prepared to be in this committed relationship and honestly like grow and evolve and grow your skills and do all these things that we're talking about from a spiritual perspective, right? But let's say you're a person who, we're social beings, we need each other. So let's just say that you meet somebody and you're single and they're single, and you don't want to eat alone, they don't want to eat alone, and so there is a common service there. There is a contribution that is helping serve the team, right? So you're getting your needs met, they're getting their needs met, and it doesn't mean you guys are in a committed, marriage kind of thing, but you can serve each other in a really beautiful, clean way, which could maybe, that's how friends with benefits develops. I have found that people, they start off as friendship, and then or it was an initial attraction, and then they get together, but then they're not ready for the commitment, and so they still want to like play the field. But I think playing the field, what I found really meant was I'm not ready on a soul level, even though people don't understand that it's really their soul that's knocking on the door and going, hey, we're not fully prepared to go into this relationship yet. We're not evolved to the point where we're ready yet. Or the person in front of me is not really reflecting that, that ultimate destination that I talked about. So therefore, I have to keep working on myself. So it's a very deep, complex type of awareness, that I went through, and I'm speaking from my own experience. I have seen this in other people as well, but I don't think that a lot of people, maybe process it as deeply, as like I do, because I'm a processor. I really get deep, about things. So I kind of find it useful. I find it amazing. I find it still okay on some level if everybody's getting their needs met. If there's manipulation, no. But if you're alone, wanting to have, you're alone and you're eating alone, and they're alone and they're eating alone, why not come together and have a meal or go out to the movies? Or you see what I'm saying?
Course. But you said one thing that catch my attention. You say someone that can help me travel, navigate the field until I get to my ultimate destination. Now we ought to focus on what the ultimate destination is.
Yes, and
I think
that's the next topic. Yes, that's the next question.
Right.
Are you done with your? Yeah, keep going.
Yeah. If that person is here to help us get to our ultimate destination, it's like a subway card, a car. We get on and then we get off. So again, you don't want to travel that far. Your leg might hurt. That's 5 miles down the road. You take an Uber. You take you use something as your ultimate destination. Now, when I say that, sometimes I'm eating alone now, it comes to my mind, of course, but it doesn't mean I disdain or I dislike eating alone. Oh no, I'm still enjoying my food just like I would with someone next to me, because I really don't. It's hard for me to say it, but I feel I've come to a position in my life where I really don't need anything from anybody. What can you? But of course, there are 3 elements that bring us. Again, relationship, even a family, it's still boundaries. It's what they talk about, the neocortex, that release that serotonin. The dog has it at a lesser degree. That's why they go around peeing on trees and whatnot and poles. They are marking their territories. They're marking their boundaries. They kingdom of fear, of course, but it's still their kingdom. It's the same as with us. We came, as a social being, as social beings, we want to have this kingdom of this family, the protection. It's all great, but it's still survivorship. 3 things that bring us together. First of all, let's not deny it. That's the reason why you and I were born. Sex. Let's be honest. The second one might be usually finances. People get married because it's a lot easier in the finances. And then 3, society demands it. As a single guy, and you're a married couple with a married couple, I would apply for the same loan. I think we probably prefer to give it to the married couple because they appear to be a better risk. Whereas a single guy I can get up anytime I want and get out of town. You see, to me, that's freedom. That's to me, at this juncture in my life, that's the ultimate freedom. To be able to do whatever the hell I want. But to somebody, I'm like, okay, you're married? Great. How do you do it? I love it. The idea, I'm a Libra, so the idea of love is more is more powerful in my head than having a loving relationship. Because that can also get me off balance. And there's no 100% certainty. There's nobody in this world that's going to be 100% with me. So I have to be prepared for that. When do I give? How do I take? How do I stop the manipulation? When do maybe I need to accept that person using manipulation to catch my attention because I'm not being loving. I'm spending more time with my guitar. I'm spending more time with my, how do you balance all that? That's why I see some people like, they have great Kabbalists, great spiritual masters in all traditions, the Buddhas, they all wanted it for them to themselves, because if that person is really working on a highest liberation, then see, they're willing to suffer. And it's not a struggle. It's not a struggle with their sexual appetite. It comes naturally over time where, the attachment to the physical body, to the survival aspect of life becomes less and less, relevant in their life. And I think at that moment, a true human being who wants that ultimate liberation can look back and say, you know what? I do not feel that I can handle giving away, not even an iota of that freedom to someone just because I want to survive into the world. I want to be able to have this car or this mortgage, because being married, it's bring up my credit score. The sexual appetite diminish. Therefore, I really don't see why I need that. But of course, once in this world and you have to navigate both sides of the fence, spirituality and physicality, and you said, okay, I need it. And I think that's where, especially in the yogic tradition, where they put emphasis on liberating your mind more, being ready by liberating yourself from all aspects of attachment. And then you can love. But that person has to be able to accept the fact that you're going to love him or her without attachment. And that's something, and especially in the Western culture, it's very frowned upon.
Yeah, it's
I don't know if you agree.
It's true. Yeah. We're gonna get back to that. So the last question, so the comment you just made was unconditional love, basically, right? Loving without conditions, right? Is that what you just said?
Yes.
Okay. So we have a question. Who's the person?
Well, I'll just give you the question.
No, they might want to.
Well, they're online. So
Okay.
It's the question is about committed marriages that are lasting years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. Is there any value to being in a commitment?
Of course. Okay. So the question.
The question is kind of like the dialogue you're having is about freedom,
right?
But what is the value to a commitment?
Okay. So the question here is, what is the value of a committed relationship? And is there value to a committed relationship? And absolutely yes. I'm going to say absolutely yes. And then I'll let you answer for yourself, Jacques. And this is where I was going to say, when we got to it, was what I found in relationships, in committed relationships, and in my committed relationship where I've been working so hard towards where I am today, is that a common vision, a common goal, a common purpose for mankind. That is what I found to be the secret sauce for these long-term committed relationships. And so, is there value to having a marriage that's lasted 30, 40, 50, 60 years? We have patients in our clinic that are married. They're going to be celebrating their, I think, 50th wedding anniversary or 60th wedding anniversary. That's incredible. That's incredible. And, if people can if people can do that, that's a beautiful, beautiful thing, in my opinion. However, I'm going to add this piece to it, is that along that journey, I'm sure that you have learned a lot of things in that process, right? About yourself. I'm talking to this person who answered or asked this question. You have learned a lot of things about yourself. You have learned a lot about your partner. You guys have evolved like probably you've never, imagined that you would evolve. And so in that is the value. In that is the destination. And so for me, when we talk about, the destination of relationships and this life on a spiritual journey, that's what that is to me, is that you could, stay with one partner and continue to evolve and grow and just, be able to sustain that type of energy over time. That is a huge, huge accomplishment. So absolutely. So thank you for asking that question. And, you are a very special person that you can do that, because not a lot of people can do that. And you also have to find a partner who's willing to do that with you. Right, Jacques?
Definitely. Well, let me say freedom doesn't equate to being alone. I've seen these old couples, they are 80 years old. They look at them. You have two relationships when you see people, they get old together. You'll see they hate each other, but pretend to love each other in a more jovial way. Look at it's blah, blah, blah. And you'll find the other ones that are so enamored by the other person. They lost themselves in the other person. I think ultimate freedom is by being by yourself. If you're going to have the type of relationship that's going to drag you down. Like I said, if I want to climb Mount Everest, I do not want somebody on my shoulder, but somebody by my side that can see a rock, a soft rock that can get me off cliff. That's valuable, of course. Somebody that can look behind my back, because I do not have two eyes in the back of my head. See, those kind of relationships, that's the ultimate relationship. It's a lot better to navigate this realm in two people. But even in the biblical narrative, how two people can work together unless they agree. Agree to what? Agree for the freedom of one another. Because we are two different souls merging to become one. Like you said, one goal, one perspective. That doesn't mean we have to agree.
Right.
But the ultimate is that we want to bring the best version out of one another. And if you're working on yourself, the universe usually brings you that person because you're ready for it. So that person from time to time is going to swing you to say, hey, you haven't yet to master this little thing. If you're honest, you said, wow, I'm glad you're in my life because you taught me that I still need to master this clipot, this shell. I need to break it. Thank you. But at the same time, the other person listening to this has to have the value, the strength not to manipulate this person. I got you now. I got you whooped. You know what I'm saying? Now I can stir you wherever I want. I have those relationships. In my spiritual journey, I find a person that helped me get out of my anger, get out of my impatience. Yeah, and I said, you know what? I was a jerk the other night, the way I hung up the phone with you. Yeah. And then they come around the next time, they want to remind me how much of a jerk I am for the next 3 weeks. Who needs that? I just told you. I realized I was a jerk for a minute. Now you're going to use it trying to bring me down? Why do I? You see, that's this kind of relationship, like that's the manipulation. And then when you're keen, when you're sharp, Because of course, with spirituality, meditation, and you're working on yourself, you become sharper in your own term, of course, your own crap. And but you want somebody that's gonna help you elevate that thing in you. It's rare that you can find someone who's not gonna keep repeating the past and trying to drag you down, trying to make you feel guilty all the time because they want their way out of your, that's and but these two people that get together, they realize, oh wow, I am happy to have this lady in my life. Look at you have to be able to be vulnerable sometimes. It's like, she's vulnerable. I'm not going to take advantage of that. I'm going to make sure I don't want to, remind her that how much of a jerk she, if she does it again, I need you to do it again. At that moment, it becomes a joke. It becomes a joke. We laugh it off. See, those kind of relationships are hard to find. If you find it, go for it. I'm 100%. It's going to last 50 years, 100 years.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's what we're talking about here is that, let's keep diving into this about the fact that, the relationships that will last 50 years or 40 years or 20 years, or, let's just say long term, are those relationships, Jacques, that you're talking about with both partners looking within, paying attention to the level of crazy, being able to recognize and manage it, being able to say, I'm sorry, I screwed up, being able to, really do the work that's required that is going to sometimes hurt our personal ego. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt to say, you know what? I screwed up. I'm sorry. I was an idiot. Yesterday I got mad and I was not in a mood and I didn't feel good. I was crabby, I'm so sorry. Or, you know what? Give me a kiss. I feel so bad. Let's start again. And you laugh it off. Like you said, you laugh it off and you move on, and so those are the relationships that, are going to make it. And, for the most part, because I had a relationship back in the day where, we would laugh it off, but we weren't growing. And so, one of us was growing, the other one wasn't growing. And so it's okay because, like I said, some relationships are meant to be how they're meant to be. You learn that you're just misaligned, the values change. Maybe one partner wants a child, another person decides, I don't want a child. So you realize you're not aligned anymore. And that's okay. There doesn't need to be manipulation. Oh, you said you wanted a kid when we got married and now you don't want a kid. How could you have done this to me? It's okay. Just understand that people have the right to have free will and to change their values, to change what they want. Because maybe ultimately, maybe, I don't know, maybe they never wanted it, but they agreed to do it because of you, right? So it's okay. Say again?
In spirituality, even said, I think both the Kabbalah, which I studied very deeply, and yoga, they both say it's the same thing pretty much. So if you want to achieve a level of mastery, get into relationship.
Exactly.
Because that's gonna propel you a lot faster. But you want to have the sweetness that comes with it. You don't want, like you said, you don't want all the bitterness all the time, and then I'm changing. That's what the ultimate is. You can work on yourself alone, really. But with two people, like you said, they're working on themselves, they are going inward, which is they want to have ultimate liberation. They come together, that self-realization will happen a lot faster. Because somebody else is your mirror, your wife, your husband, your children, they are your mirror. whatever it is that pisses you off, it's not them, it's you. It's you that needs to work on it. And if they are both of them looking at, not instead of looking at each other, they're looking inward, that's the, to me, that's the greatest relationship that can happen. It's hard to find, and it doesn't have to be with a husband or a very intimate relationship. It can be with two children. You know, we learn this in Kabbalah. It can be between a friend, two friends. It can be between, you know, your boss, and it can be between anybody that can help you propel you. But it's a lot stronger with two people in a very intimate setting. But yeah, I mean, if I love myself to a point where I want to be liberated, and you trigger certain things in me, not because you want to, because you just so happen, you have your little mood. Once in a while, you work on yourself. And I understand that. I can see that. It's what they call je ne sais quoi. It will translate to a point where you feel comfortable. You will definitely feel comfortable in that relationship. And I think that kind of relationship has to work. There's no if and buts about it. It will work. And to add by what I said earlier, before I forget, when I said finances and sex and whatnot, let's go into the financing, for example. When I said, I do not believe a person who cannot hold their own, especially a guy. A woman is more acceptable. Let's leave it there. Okay. That doesn't mean that two people have to come 50-50. Let's say I do not have a dime in my pocket, but I have intelligence. I have business acumen. I know how to make money. You come with $100,000, and I can turn that $100,000 into 5 years into $2 million. That's my 50-50.
Exactly.
You do not have to have the equal amount of money. You don't have to have good. That's what the Matrix does to us sometimes. That person doesn't do. That's Hollywood stuff, selling those kind of ideas into our minds, keep us into the Matrix. I think what's your contribution? You bring peace, you bring love, you bring a certain equilibrium into my life. Now I can concentrate more. When you're with me, people respect me more, which means that translates into dollars into my life. That's also your 50-50.
Exactly. You hit it right on the head there. Exactly. And that's exactly what, you know, when you're doing the work, and when you really get why you're here, and you're a purpose, and you're a person of purpose, you will understand that. And so you will align, right? The universe, God, spirit, whatever you want to call it, will bring that partnership. If our consciousness is of the mindfulness of contribution to the world and betterment of humankind, that relationship will come together. We will find each other. And so to do exactly what you said, I have the business acumen, or I have the sense to, take that 1 million and turn it into 10 million, so exactly. And so those are the relationships, guys, that we really want to manifest and draw into our lives, but not from force and not from manipulation, but just being of self, just being centered and practicing, just being yourself. Just work on being your better version of yourself. And then that relationship will just show up. I think we have another question.
Well, the question was a philosophical question. What's your contribution to the partnership?
Okay, so we just hit it. The question was,
I think we just hit it.
Yes. So you heard what he said, right? Jack, you heard Tom? Okay, so good. So we answered the question. Excellent. The other thing I want to mention, and we might go for a few more minutes here. How you doing on time? You okay?
I'm good.
Okay. One thing I want to mention is, the tool of astrology and life path. And there's also some other tools like numerology and, all these different philosophies that we're talking about, like Kabbalah and Course of Miracles and New Thought and all Buddhism, all these beautiful, beautiful tools that are available to us. And astrology is an amazing tool. And how I use it is I use it more like a confirmation. So for example, let's say I'm going about my business, I'm doing my thing, and then I'll happen to listen to, on YouTube, there's a lot of people doing astrology and tarot card readings and things like that. And so I'll just listen to them randomly just to see what they say. And it's fascinating because what it will be is like, it will confirm certain things that have already happened. So I don't use it to kind of like, forecast anything, right? Because then it could be taken as, oh, it's a fulfilling prophecy. You're just fulfilling your own prophecy. No, I use it as a confirmation because it allows me to see just how my intuition and just how my continuous process of, using my intuition and my guidance and my universal guides are leading me, to where I'm headed. And part of that is knowing astrology, because when you know your sign, and there's the 3 placements that are very important, which are the sun, the moon, and the rising. When you know those 3 placements, it can be very, very helpful, right? So,
Sure.
so you're a Libra, I'm a Pisces. We each have our own life path, which is actually another thing you want to look up. If anybody is interested out there, you can type in your birth. It'll tell you like your birth date, your time, your place, whatever, and then you can look up the life path, and the life path will tell you. It's like based on a number, and it'll tell you what that number is. What the mission is. So, example, I know mine is number 6. And so it's all about nurturing and family and community and all of that. And so I very much am all about that. So it's very, very powerful, these tools. So astrology, life path, all these other things that we're talking about tonight,
Right.
So
My daughter is a Pisces, by the way, March 2nd.
Oh, March what?
2nd.
Oh, very nice. Nice.
Yeah.
So, is there any more questions?
No.
No more questions. Okay. So is there anything else, Jacques, and I wanted to just finish that one comment that you said about the unconditional love, right? Relationships based on unconditional love. So let's just talk about that real quick here, and then we'll end it on that. So I agree with you that fortunately and unfortunately, our society is a little bit having a hard time with this right now, right? And I think that the more we can focus on staying away from the manipulation and more towards unconditional love on whatever level, friend, girlfriend, boyfriend, family, whatever, meaning let people just be who they are. Just love them, right? Just love them. They're going to be difficult. They're going to be a pain in the ass. They're going to act differently than we want them to act. So we have to learn to just, and I'm talking to myself too, is we just have to learn to just see that everybody's doing the best they can. Everybody's just doing the best they can. We're all in it together. It's one boat. And I'm talking about all of us. I'm talking about society. We are all in one boat trying to make it. So judging each other and hurting each other and demanding of each other is not the answer. It's not going to work. And we are being driven that way because people want to divide us. So let's be smarter, right? Let's be smarter. Let's not hurt each other. Let's focus on, doing the best we can so that we can try to help ourselves get out of this sinking boat, basically, and do what we have to do. What do you think?
Definitely. And not because it's a nice philosophical way to be or beautiful, spiritual, whatever you want to call it.
Exactly.
It's because it's good for you. We started our conversation talking about every emotions that come into our being is chemical based. Now there's a chemistry that's called adrenaline. It's a fight or flight. The reason why we get pissed at people is because we feel I know what I'm talking about because I'm 100% number one at this. Is somebody says something on Facebook, I feel offended, I feel this. My adrenaline starts pumping. Literally, my heart starts pumping. I feel angry. What's happening is that the brain is telling my adrenal, my kidneys and whatnot, where the chemistry comes from, to pump because this guy is in trouble. He needs to fight or get out of there. A certain level, let's say a lion is chasing you. That's our ancestors that passed this down to us through process of evolution. We inherit that. It's good, but look when you watch those documentaries about animals, National Geographic, for example, you see a deer running for his dear life, pun not intended. But the moment they look behind them, they see that the lion is no longer a threat. They become even killed. I mean, like cool as a cucumber, because they are intelligent enough to know that adrenaline is literally a poison into our bloodstream. Unfortunately, this is where we are living every day. We're living a life of, like you say, manipulation, and we have to defend ourselves. Defending what exactly? If you're working on yourself, fortunately, there are tools, meditation, yoga, breathing exercises. That's why I keep teaching, because I know these things work for me. There's not a guy in the world that was more ready for a fight. I'm a Libra, by the way. People think we all smiley, lovey-dovey. Now we can fight. As a matter of fact, when we fight, believe me, you won't, because we try to stay away from fight, but we can pick a good fight. The thing is, I realized something about me that you have to taste this. If you taste this, you start using these tools. You start using the tools of meditation, breathing, exercising, yoga. It's not just physical fitness. Physical fitness is a byproduct of it. Now, I'm not advocating yoga. I'm not a yoga apologist. I just know what works. So if you're using these tools and that release serotonin, melatonin, you become cool. After a while, you don't want that much adrenaline in your system anymore. You try to stay away from any kind of thing that's unless you really have to fight. Now it's a different story. But you're not gonna look for it. People, they say something about you or about something you disagree with. Who cares? Because you know the benefits of being into yourself, being the real you. And I think these tools, until these tools can be utilized, in my opinion, before, I was always religious in a way. I was always, like I said, leaning towards spiritual things. But until I started using the tools of breathing and meditation and going deep within myself to release those chemical goodness, the real beauty, the juice. I had to test that level of peace to understand that I really don't want to go to that way anymore. And if I have to avoid watching Facebook people talking crap, I just turn them off and let it go. And after a while, it's like, no, it's like muscle exercise. You exercise these muscles and more you become strong.
Exactly.
If you're working on yourself and that person that's going to come into your life, he or she should feel lucky to have you. That's my way. That's not that you become conceited. And why should you? You're working on yourself. You're a prize now. And that person working on themselves, he or she is a prize, and two people that will become the prize. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And this can be a very beautiful thing. Definitely.
Yeah. It's interesting what you say about being a Libra, because it's true. I'm a Pisces, and Pisces are typically known as sweet and kind and cute and spiritual and all these things, and we are. However, I am the founder of Recognize Your Level of Crazy and Manage It for a reason. So I am the first to tell you that, to say that, I had a level of crazy that I really had to figure out, because I was messing up my life on many different levels until I was able to harness that energy and get it under control. And so when you say you could fight, exactly, maybe not physically, because I'm not about violence, but my anger was off the charts. And so for whatever reason, and I do believe that anger is very much connected to our nutrition, very much connected to our obviously to our emotional state and stress and the stimulation that's going on all around us. So, lack of proper supplementation, sleep, all of that, meditation, all of that.
One thing, how about a lack of connection to God?
A lack of connection to God. Exactly. Thank you. So all of that is connected to these things. So if we want to truly get our crazy under control, we have to do these things. We have to live a little bit more. We have to live a more holistic life, which is what we're talking about. And getting those things really handled, the nutrition, the meditation, the walks in nature, the connection with God, number one. And I hate to do a plug, but that is really what my book is going to be about, is all these different tools and the very important tools that you have to have the foundation. And then there's extra tools that we can all use just, here and there. But the foundations, number one, connection to spirit, understanding why we are here. And so, I think that brings us to the end of this beautiful, beautiful conversation.
Wonderful.
I would love to do another topic with you at some point, do you have any leftover? Is there any comments or questions at this point? No. Okay. So anything you want to say before we end it? Anything?
Yeah, to corroborate what Tom just said, I can hear from the background, the connection to God is very important. And these connections to God are the tools of meditation, the tools, like you said, nutrition, because the body, the mind, and the emotions, they work together. We cannot neglect one or the other. We can't. There's that's the difference between religiosity and spirituality. Spirituality incorporates all the three aspects of what make a human mechanism: the body, the emotions, and the thoughts one. So if we can watch out what we think, we can watch out what we process, our emotions are going to follow through. And this physical body is a vehicle to all these two aspects, emotions and thoughts. And by watching what we put in it, like you said, proper sleep, walking in nature, it's those are the tools that connect us to the divine creator that is within us. Definitely. Yeah. I would say 100% agree with Tom.
And those
I am 100% agreement.
Yeah. And guys, you know, if we want a real relationship, those are the things we got to work on in ourselves to be able to manifest that beautiful, loving, long-term, gorgeous not cellmate, well, sometimes cellmate, but ultimately soulmate that will help us reach levels of ecstasy and growth and transformation and all the good stuff that we all truly want. So with that, thank you so much, Jacques. It was such a pleasure.
Thank you.
Such
Thank
a
you,
pleasure
Esther. I
to spend
appreciate
this evening with you, having this conversation. And thank you everyone who was here and asking those beautiful questions. And if you have any questions or comments, you can always reach out to me or Jacques. And we're here to support you. So thank you again. And I'm gonna sign off, and don't go anywhere, Jacques, but I'm gonna sign off and just stop everything here. And I'll see you in a minute. Okay.
Thank you.
And actually,
All right.
I have a quote. So you're welcome to share my quote with me, Jacques, if you want. So let me do the quote. So here it goes, guys. If you know it, say it with me. When you know and understand yourself, the world will know and understand you too. And what's the best that can happen?
Wow. Very beautiful. Thank you. Thanks for sharing.
All right. All the best,
It was
everyone.
great talking to you.